What is up, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, real estate agents, loan officers, clients, and friends, family? Maybe my mom is watching live here on this Monday, beautiful Monday morning. It's only 92 degrees here in Atlanta at 11:30 a.m. And I assume that's probably the case for you guys out there in TV land as well. My name is Sean Grapevine, Vice President of Strategy here at UMortgage. I am joined by the man, the myth, the legend, former poker dealer, current mortgage dealer, Matt, the mortgage guy, Gougé. Welcome.
What is happening, buddy? I'm feeling good today. I don't know what it is about today, but I feel good. Maybe it's just your energy that I love, but yeah, I'm ready to dive in, talk about some mortgage stuff, talk about mortgage interest rates, talk, strategy for mortgage loan officers and realtors to gain market share in a market that, in my opinion, is going to continue to go up as far as transactions go. But that's enough about that. What do you got cooking for us today, buddy?
Oh, well, not much. Let's not rush into this. Let's do the general chit chat, banter, tomfoolery, hijinks that we're used to here. This is really what keeps the people coming back. They don't care about mortgages. They care about what you did this weekend. How was your weekend?
My weekend was awesome. I flew home on Saturday.
Where's home?
Home is Sacramento, California.
Oh, I see. You flew.
Yeah.
I got you.
Right. And we're going to be 100 degrees today too. So it's going to be a hot day in Sacramento. Saturday morning, flew home from Michigan, where I joined 120 loan officers from across the country at UMortgage. We met at UWM. We trained VA loans. I came home and, if you would have seen the energy I had around getting better, serving veterans with, the best structured VA loan possible, I realized after a 3-minute kind of rant to my kid's piano teacher, I'm like, slow down, Matt. But
she's just catching strays.
Well, yeah, it was crazy because guys like Pat and Gade, who are passionate about serving their fellow veteran, that stuff rubs off. And so I'm telling the piano teacher, I said, of all demographics, the ones who sign up and risk their life, for us, the least we can do is educate ourselves and be high-level loan officers. And I'm telling the piano teacher this.
The piano teacher's like, okay, I'll try. I'm sorry, Mr. Gougé.
Dude, I went in too, and I said, listen, imagine a guy who served our country, and then because you don't have the proper training or you don't know, you don't calculate his entitlement correctly, you tell him he can't buy a second house, or you tell him he's not approved to put his family in a home. That's a crime. And I'm telling about call center places and these low budget, more marketing dollars than training dollars. They're not serving the veterans. We're going to serve veterans. And the proof is in the pudding. 37% of our loans are VA loans. We're going to do $1 billion plus in VA loans this year. And we're doing them at a high level. That's what the 2 days was, Sean. I'm a better loan officer. I know more about the intricacies of VA loans. And so there's no better place to get a VA loan than with UMortgage. But enough about that. I had a great time. Saw a Tigers game. Did some top golf with some of my UMortgage compadres. It was a good time.
That sounds great. I know. I wish I could have been there. I had a long to-do list. I'm on a special somewhat secret project. It's not secret if you follow me on LinkedIn or listen to me at all times. If so random piano teachers cross my path, I too let them in on said secret. But working really hard on a big technology project here at UMortgage to just revolutionize what people think of when they hear the words or letters CRM. So that's been super exciting, and it's really just had me thinking a ton about how work gets done, how people are motivated, what really is the role technology should play in a relationship-driven sales organization like UMortgage, or really any being a real estate agent or an insurance agent or literally anything but like call center sales work, right? If you're selling landscaping solutions or God forbid solar, like the hundreds of people that come by my house every week, it's trying to sell me solar. It's the way we actually work and the way our current technology solutions tell us that we should work are pretty different. So we're trying to think our way through them. Pretty excited about it. But in my before we get to let's dive into the human interest stuff first, and then we'll get into the numbers a little later. How's that sound? We'll switch it up today.
Yeah, let's talk humans. I'm down with that.
Yeah, love them to death. In my conversations with, and I'll use this as my conversation with you, with our sales leaders. So anybody who's just closing a bunch of loans, been in the business for a long time, or anybody who's leading people, which qualify under all those categories, have I've been going through and interviewing our just best salespeople to see like what it is that makes them tick. And I think one of the things that I've found out, Matt, and this is actually quite surprising, was that like they're not good at everything. I mean, they probably could be, but it's not like you got a loan officer who's they're good at cold calling, and they're good at going to open houses, and they're good at attending BNI, and they're good at going to cocktail hours, and they're good at holding CE classes, and they're also good at first-time home buyer classes, and they've got all these little arrows in their quiver, and all those arrows do different things, and they just happen to like be great at everything. They're utility players. That's none.
Very few, I would imagine.
What most of them have done, and this is like how I played Mortal Kombat growing up on my Sega or whatever I played it on, is they found one move that they're good at early in their career, and they just spammed that move. That's all they do. It's up, down, left, right, left. Like
if you got a great jab, you use your jab.
And if you look at somebody like Andrew Chavez, his open house thing, and he's got his whole branch on it. I mean, I don't even think they know that there's other things that you can do. I mean, they just do the same thing over and over and over and over again. And if you look at one of his sort of is the people he's leading, and Andy Hefner, the guy's done like 100 weekends of open houses in a row, and he's got this same move, does the exact same thing, prints out the exact same thing, has the exact same phone call, brings the exact same stuff, follows up with the exact same phone call, and the guy's closing like an insane amount of business. He's going to close $40 million this year, and he's like brand new, he's less than 2 years in. So Matt, I had my move. I'll tell you what my move was here in a second, but I'm curious to hear like what's the Matt Gougé, like what have you found to be the thing that like works best for your particular neuro setup?
I know exactly what my move is, and my move is education through video. And so when somebody reaches out to me and they're like, I'm going to get pre-approved, you know what they get, Sean? They get an educational video specifically for them. And I already know they like that because that's why they reached out. They're like, hey, I caught you on YouTube. This really, taught me something. I appreciate it. I'd love to work with you and your team. Get pre-approved, Loom video, going over an Excel spreadsheet. Here's what your mortgage looks like. I had 3 or 4 of those conversations this weekend, Sean, and I continue to remind people, like, it's not just, do I qualify? It's not how much do I qualify for, but it's like, here's exactly what it looks like to buy at 1.1, 1.15, and 1.2. And then you go back, sit down with your spouse, your co-borrower, and you guys talk through what fits in our budget. Because a huge disservice to a buyer to say, you're qualified up to 1.4 with 10% down. Have fun. Happy house hunting. That's just not it. And so I know that, my quote unquote tribe, and honestly, what I like to do is educate folks, kind of tell them what they should be looking for and what they should be calculating for their own home purchase, and then feed it to them, show it to them in pretty much the same format they found me, which is video.
It's interesting, and it obviously like has such a high conversion rate. Although I don't like to think of other people as conversion rate, but like it has a high quality, and so people really tend to go with you. Like once you've done that, and I think that's the other thing I found is that like we treat this as a sort of B2B outreach job, and think about like, hey, you should maybe get 2 to 3% of the people you interact with to be your referral partners. When I talk to the big dogs, like you, or like they're all their moves, they do them fewer, but they usually have like a 60 to 80% conversion rate, right? Like they choose the person they're going to target to work with, either as a partner or like a client or whatever, and like they execute the move on the controller, and like it always succeeds, like pretty much, like more than 50% of the time. And they're much happier. They can do it many more times. They have better relationships, tighter relationships, and they don't like. I think a lot of loan officers and real estate agents get in that it's a numbers game, right? Everybody's like, it's a numbers game, and I'm slowly realizing it's not a numbers game. It's a quality game. It's a quality game. That's all it is. My move was, mine was the peak of laziness, and I always try to get as much business as I could for the smallest amount of work. It's the Grapevine method, if you will. And mine was to, whenever I got a contract in, so there was some work to do to get that contract. I wasn't very good at that, so it was very much a numbers game for me. But once I finally got some contracts in, I'd always call the listing agent on a deal, and I would say, hey, look, I am going to be like the best loan officer you've ever worked with on the listing or buying side here, and I really want you to see this experience, this transaction, as a 30-day free trial of the Sean Grapevine experience. Pretend I'm your loan officer. You're not even risking anything. Like I'm this person's loan officer, and I'm going to call you with updates at every possible milestone. I'm going to let you know if there's problems. I'm going to let you know when we're here to close. I'm going to let you know everything. I'm going to sneak you the good information, And then I would obviously never sneak them information that my buyer wouldn't already approve. But I was like, I was just trying to work the room here. And then I would say, at the end of this transaction, I'm going to have impressed you so much that when I ask you to send me the rest of your business for the rest of your career, you're not going to have any choice but to say yes. And they would like they would set it up like, yeah. And then the day after closing, I'd call and be like, hey, this is that call. I told you I would do it. Did you think I did a great job? I'd be like, hey, you did a great job. I was like, well, I think we worked really well together. Assuming we did. Sometimes I was like, I never want to talk to this person again in my life. And then I'd be like, so how about it? Like, will you send me your next buyer? And they were like, you know what? You said you would do this and you did it, right? It was like, set up the expectation for the ask, like,
Deliver.
Excel. Yeah. Deliver. And then it would always win. And it was always like, this is what I'm good. I'm good at executing. I'm good at kind of showing that I'm good at executing. I'm not good at the other stuff. I'm not good at like a coffee conversation. I'm not good at like mixers or networking or anything like that. I like my experience, my work to speak for itself. So how did you like come to like, how long did it take you to be like, I'm the education guy?
I guess it took some time I was making the educational videos because I thought it was a way to kind of scale a message and educate at scale. And just through feedback, people were like, this is great. Thank you so much. This is really helpful. I even started sharing some of those videos with real estate agent, and with the buyer's permission, I'd say, hey, we're all on the same team. You mind if I CC your agent?
Know. Yeah, they should know
great.
This.
So then like in today's market, we might be asking for credit, setting up a 1-0 buy down. I'm really getting everyone together, collaborating to help the buyer get the best deal possible, structure the mortgage in a way that makes sense for them and their family. And so, the long way to answer your question is just through feedback. And I think that's like any business that probably applies. Try different things, see what feedback you get from those different things, and you'll usually find out, thank you so much, that was awesome. It only took 10 or 12 Loom videos where I was like, you know what? People love this.
This is the way. Yeah.
People love not just getting an Excel spreadsheet, not an email, not a text. They love a video walkthrough. It allows them to really absorb stuff that's information that's foreign, that's new to them. Mortgages aren't something that people just like come across every day and understand, the intricacies of it. And when people are buying, especially when there's multiple borrowers involved, it's a great way for them at their convenience to say, the kids are down, they're sleeping, dinner's over. Let's watch this 5-minute video. oh yeah, see what he said there? Like, this makes sense. You know, watch it 2 or 3 times, bounce some questions off of me. And so I've like continued to do more and more of it because the feedback I get is we like this. This is valuable.
Yeah, I had similar advice and experience to really try a lot of things. I mean, I thought I was going to be great at cold calling. I love technology. I love these big lists. I like seeing statistics. I like the idea of a numbers game. It's like me, just like everybody else I've ever managed. It's like sounds good, and then it's like you spend a few hours doing it on your first day, and you're like, oh, you know what? I'm going to actually seek out other other solutions to this problem. So yeah, I'm a big quality, not quantity kind of guy these days. And you know what? Next LinkedIn post, it's not a numbers game. That's my
There
new.
you go. There you go.
My,
That's a good title.
My little tagline. So
Like
let's talk about the numbers here. Oh my gosh, look at our production team, our producer Caden, really all over it on the ones and twos. Already got the chart up as I say the words, the numbers. Let's take a look at them. Mortgage rates largely unchanged last week, 6.84%. That's probably with like paying a point, I would say, in conventional land. Whoever's like the 15-year conforming one changes by up to like 0.3% every week when we do this. I think it's because so few are done that it's like it's unreliable number. I would be surprised if you could really get 6.2% on 15-year. That would be the widest gap I've seen in a long time. As far as I know, 15-year and 30-year have very narrow gaps.
Yeah, and the 15-year rarely enters the conversation. There's just no
doesn't make sense.
You know, real good reason to do that. You know, quick.
Do you have a YouTube video on that?
I probably do, and I feel like I've advised people quite a bit that if you want to pay it off sooner, none of these mortgages have prepayment penalties when we're writing conventional loans, and so you can go ahead and pay that 30-year like it's a 15, and you know the rate spread being so close, being like tied to that larger payment. Is not
effective. If you paid a 30-year like a 15-year in this particular example, your effective interest rate on the 30-year would be something like 6.32 or something. You know, it would be so ridiculously similar that it wouldn't make sense to take the 15-year. Yeah, so not too bad on interest rates right now. I'm a big proponent of higher longer for many reasons. Don't want to have to go through the like will they, won't they for a super long time. And you know, like we talked about last week, it's like let's get rid of the riffraff. Like there's still a lot of crappy loan officers, crappy real estate agents out there. And I'm ready for the cleansing to continue in the industry. Saying that as a former originator who's no longer originating myself, I guess I have.
You got cleansed out, bro.
I've been cleansed. If you take a look at our target rate probabilities for the July Fed meeting, just a 10% chance of a reduction in rates in July. Gotta say, I agree with the 89.7% here.
You know what? I'm in the 10.3 camp, dude. I think that number should be 20%. I think there's a 1 in 5 shot. You see what your boy Goolsby said out this morning?
Who?
Goolsby. I think he's like the Chicago Fed president. There's like a couple of warning signs in the economy. I think there's some economic thing that gets tracked that's been like negative for 24 months. Like the economy's not as good as some portray. And so that's where like I'm not saying, Sean, that I want rates to go down super far, super fast, but I think July's an okay starting point for cutting the Fed funds rate. The Fed funds rate.
The Fed funds rate.
That's all I'm saying, bro. Well, I think we can kick off July with 25 basis points.
As I mentioned, we're working on a CRM for our company, and it would be very helpful. And I've texted Jerome this several times if he could keep rates a little higher, a little longer, so that I don't feel as rushed. But
yeah, well, the good news is I don't think like that's going to have a dramatic impact on either rates or demand.
Ooh, I think that first ease is going to be like I think you'll see a 0.5 point reduction in mortgage interest rates from a 1/4 point reduction in Fed funds rate.
You think so?
Oh, for sure. As soon as they're like, we're going to do it, it's like it'll drop. There'll be a big drop. And then you'll see the steady decline as more easings happen. But like, I think there's a we're in this binary, right, like unknown between these two binary things where, and like once it becomes known, then there will be like a reaction.
Once we break the seal.
Yeah, I think it'll drop half. I think we'll go from, right at 7%, which is kind of where we're at now, to 6.4, 6.5, which, if you remember, is where we were just in February. So it's not like you said, it's not this like crazy, and we weren't particularly thrilled about rates in February. So it's not going to be like, the dam is opened after breaking that seal. If you take a look at September, 61%, at least, like that's where most people are seeing the actual drop in rates happening. Some people, 6.6%, say 2 drops. Again, we've talked about these people. You want to hang out with them. I don't know if you want to trust them, but they're optimistic people. They're lovely folks. Matt is almost one of them.
Almost, man. I'm on the cusp.
And then you got 2.3% of people saying 3 meetings from now there will have been 3 rate reductions.
Those are the true crazies.
Yeah. I mean, that's nuts, because it would be crazy. It'd be fun, but it would be crazy. You've got a quarter of people surveyed. That's not really how this works, but 25% chance, let's say, of 2 rate drops, 50% chance of 1, and a 1 in 5 chance of none rate drops. I might still be in that camp. We'll see. We've got it kind of brings us into that's the numbers, by the way. Well, actually, do we have? Oh.
Was that November that you were looking at?
Yeah, we got one. We got one more up there. There we go. And we've got December. So bring out the rest of the year.
Yeah. None rate drops, 1 in 20 shot.
Yeah. And then you got 1 at 27%, 2 at 45%, 3 at 20%, and 4. So 4 in the next 4 meetings, 1.8% chance that's going to happen. I mean, if that
same
happens,
likelihood as the Sacramento Kings winning the NBA championship next year.
Yeah, and the Hawks. Of the Kings and the Hawks playing against each other and both winning. That's how.
Well, I think what's funny is I just saw something recently, and I don't always look at odds, but the Kings are like a 50-1 to win the championship, and that's 1.8%, roughly 50-1. So
yeah, look at that.
Yeah, 4 rate cuts. Sacramento Kings win the NBA championship. Ooh, what are the odds of those both happening?
I'll tell you right now. If we have 4 and 4, you'll never see me. I'll be back in the. I'll be cold. I'll be calling up listing agents here from this chair instead of on the.
Just say, hey, listen, I'm going to deliver. I'm going to do a great job, and when I do, I'm going to call you at the end. You're going to send me all your business for life. How's that sound?
Exactly.
I got your line already. I'm going to try.
100%, dude. You should use it. It's so easy. You can add it to the playbook. You win. You literally win like 60% of the time. It's crazy. It always works. Every once in a while, the person's like, well, I just do listings. You're like, fair enough. Or they're like, my husband or my wife is my loan officer. And you're like, okay, also fair enough.
So what you're saying is 60% of the time, it works every time.
That's right. That's exactly right. So that's it for the numbers for real this time, Caden. Thank you. A lot of this discussion of the sort of renewed fire, the spark, the smoke that you can smell coming off the rate rumor fire is due to less than great jobless claims, initial jobless claims that come out on a weekly basis. But you have to remember, we're only 3 weeks removed from 270,000 jobs being created or claimed to have been created by the jobs report. So I just think it's a little early. CPI came in nice and low, lowest in a long time. And then we've got another big indicator, PCE. That's the personal consumer expenditures, which is a measure of inflation that the Fed is actually their sort of metric of choice. And that comes in on Friday at 8:30 a.m. and it's scheduled. Well, it's not scheduled to come down. It's the market people think that it's the expectation. There we go. Is that it will come down a little bit, and it remains to be seen if the new initial jobless claims and PCE come down. Now, retail sales were up less than expected last week. I think everybody will have seen that home prices, again, still going up, but home sales are at home home builds are at their lowest since 2020. So a lot of that home price stuff isn't demand based, right? It's like totally supply based. There's a lot of questions still about exactly.
Speaking of supply, I am going to nominate right now, Sean, to the powers that be, that next week we dig into home inventory. Let's do that next week.
That sounds fun. That sounds good. I'll bring some charts.
Let's talk about inventory across the country. I think that people on the buy side are going to have a good run, like you said. If we go higher for longer, especially as far as having a little bit of leverage based on inventory levels that I think I just heard this morning in some markets are back to pre-pandemic levels, and we've just operated in a scarce inventory environment for so long that even if it's only 32 of 200 markets, even if it's only 16% of the markets that are back to pre-pandemic levels, it's a good sign for buyers. If you don't like having to go up against 15 offers, if you don't like having to bid above ask and all that other stuff, like, inventory is coming, which translates to more options and more leverage for you as a buyer. So let's dig into
maybe more slowly accelerating price increases. So and I mean, as I remember, it didn't feel like we were absolutely drowning in inventory in 2019. I mean, it was still like you would still go view a few houses. I mean, I home shopped no, I didn't. That was during the pandemic. And it was madness.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I like that was such a, like, this is what I've always told people about rates, especially when rates were on their way up. They're, oh my God, rates are at 4. Oh my God, rates are at 5. And I was like, dude, before the pandemic, 2019 was like my best year ever. And rates in 2019 weren't low. They were in their high 4s and 5s. Remember, they started getting kind of high.
Mm-hmm.
And like, it was a very healthy market. Homes were going up in value 3 to 4% every year, 5 and 6 in great markets. Rates were at 5%, unemployment rate was like right around 4%. So it was like, we're kind of like maybe angling in at this sort of healthy market that we left behind in 2019, that most of the people I knew had their most successful year of all time in 2019 until 2020 and 2021. But you can't really, you just like, it's not fair to give those years any credit. It was like shooting apples in a barrel or something.
The steroid era, I call it.
The steroid era. It's always going to have an asterisk.
Yep.
Barry Bonds.
Yep.
Well, Matt, it has been an absolute pleasure. Can't wait to talk about inventory with you. Really
it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be fun.
Riveting stuff. And I hope you have a great rest of your day. Feel free to use my my playbook if you want to. If you get a contract in today,
list agents today. I'm going to use the Grapevine method.
Dude, works every time. I mean, and you just like, it becomes this snowball. We're like, well, I got 5 contracts this month, and I won 3 agent referral partners. So next month I'm gonna have 6. I mean, it's just winning, because they do good business if they are already a part of a transaction. Anyway,
right. Yeah.
I got a lot to say about this. Attend my webinar. It's only $99 a week for the next 52 weeks about the Grapevine method. I will see you guys there. Matt, have a great rest of your day. Everyone else, thank you so much for being here. See you next week.
Later, brother.
See you, buddy.